a futterwacken dance, an undercover horror, a bomber plane fighting a dragon. These trailers were loved by millions. The actual movies, not so much. In an era of unnecessary sequels, it's a surprise Zoolander 2 took so long. 15 years after the first installment morphed from box office bomb to cult comedy classic, audiences were ready to see blue steel flash across the screen again. Then, the trailer dropped, and it was great. All of our favorite characters were back. Benedict Cumberbatch looked like an androgynous alien, Mugatu's hair was looking fresh as ever, and we even got to see Justin Bieber get assassinated. This was the triumphant return of early 2000s nostalgia. With 22 million views and 87,000 likes on YouTube, the world was clearly ready.
Old LeMay?
And then we saw the movie. It was okay. There wasn't much to laugh at, and the movie just rode on a wave of nostalgia, only offering twists on the same jokes from the first movie. Honestly, we should have known when, in the trailer, we saw Mugatu throw coffee on his assistant again. Everybody in the movie looked bored, just going through the motions, and no amount of Justin Bieber cameos could save it. Even the Magnum look couldn't stop the bad reviews. Everybody forgot they saw it within a week, sending any hope of further sequels up in flames faster than a gasoline fight accident. In the pre-YouTube dark ages, watching movie trailers was hard. You had to know which films the trailers were attached to and hope your theater was showing the right ones. When the trailer for The Phantom Menace dropped, fans were so hyped that they bought tickets to other movies just to see the trailer, not even staying for the movie afterwards. All through November 1998, theaters sold out tickets to films like A Bug's Life only to have seats empty out before the opening titles even rolled. Star Wars was back. Despite how the end product turned out, the Phantom Menace trailer was damn good. The opening shot of a fog-covered swamp with the Force theme playing is still spine-tingling. All the visuals look awesome, and even the awkward Yoda lines feel epic. It's so good that it almost makes us want to go back and watch Episode 1 again. Almost. Nobody needs to be reminded of how the movie actually turned out. By now, it's achieved meme status as a symbol for incredible disappointment.
Now this is pod racing!
Whaling doesn't top many lists of things I want to see in movies, but In the Heart of the Sea looked like it was ready to change that for us. This trailer had everything: beautiful cinematography, cool special effects shots without revealing the monster, and Thor looking tough holding a spear. What's not to love? The trailer was so good that 4.7 million people watched it, many of whom never even knew they wanted to see a whaling movie. Turns out the only good things about the movie were in the trailer. Chris Hemsworth, Cillian Murphy, and Brendan Gleeson are talented actors. Ron Howard is a competent director and knows how to put together an interesting story, but it never connected with the audience on an emotional level. Most of the movie was just characters yelling at each other, and since none of the characters were fully developed, In the Heart of the Sea was ultimately just a slog. All it did was prove that not even Chris Hemsworth's rippling muscles and sexy hair can save a bland script, something we should have already known from Thor: The Dark World. Most movie trailers are just slapped together scenes from the movie, but a few are so expertly made that they become pieces of art on their own. Battle Los Angeles had such a trailer. Opening with shots of UFO sightings from around the world, it gave us a feast of the best visuals from the movie, set to Johan Johansson's Haunting Part 5. The movie looked breathtaking, but also grounded in realism, promising a mixture of Saving Private Ryan and Independence Day. This was going to reinvent the alien invasion genre. Or so we expected. Sadly, in reality, Battle Los Angeles was a bland hodgepodge of tired tropes from war and science fiction movies. The action scenes were fine, and the alien invasion story was mildly interesting, but there wasn't much else to talk about, and all the cool parts of the movie were in the trailer. The trailer was so good, in fact, that 2 years later, Edge of Tomorrow copied the feel of it, only this time, the movie actually delivered on its trailer's promise. We have to hand it to DC, though. The trailer for Batman vs. Superman is super rad, and it pulled in 57 million views and 332,000 upvotes, with many of its dislikes coming after the movie was released. It's easy to see why people loved this trailer. Batman looks awesome, and seeing him together with Supes made everybody giddy. The voiceovers paint a chilling and realistic picture of how the human race would actually react if Superman lived among them. We wouldn't just hold hands and love our alien savior. Many people would be terrified. Sadly, even though that was technically a theme of the movie, the light and punching show overshadowed everything else. Zack Snyder has an eye for storyboard design, and that makes for great trailers. Solid films, on the other hand, are a completely different story. 1982's Tron was steamrolled at the box office, but acquired a cult following over the ensuing years, a belated success that Disney tried to capitalize on in 2010 with their stylish Daft Punk-scored Tron Legacy. Decades after the original whiffed, the studio tried hard to make Tron trendy, and with its awesome trailer, they almost succeeded. There are so many things to love about this trailer. It shows enough of the movie to get audiences interested without giving too much away. The music is great, and all that bright monochromatic neon looks awesome as hell. Picking up 14 million views and tens of thousands of upvotes, the world was ready for a Tron sequel. We have to admit, the movie wasn't that bad, but it wasn't great either. Sure, it was pretty, but visuals can only take a movie so far. At some point, an interesting story has to keep the audience hooked, and with Tron Legacy, that never happened. Despite its excellent trailer, it failed to win over critics or restart the franchise. Even today, people only really remember it for its soundtrack, and maybe that's the best way to look at it, an overlong Daft Punk music video. If we were to draw up a list of ingredients for a cool movie, you'd find most of them in the trailer for Sucker Punch. World War I dogfights, dragons, machine guns, trench warfare, B-25 bombers, attractive girls fighting with guns, Zeppelin crashes. This trailer has it all. Why was that bomber plane fighting a dragon? Who cares? It looks cool! In the days before DC movies, having Zack Snyder's name attached to a project actually helped build up hype. After the success of 300, we were ready to see Snyder step into a gritty, more modern world, and if its trailer was anything to go by, Sucker Punch stood poised to redefine the action genre by bringing steampunk into the mainstream. With a budget of $82 million, Sucker Punch failed to even earn back half of the studio's investment domestically, although it made up much of the difference overseas. Scathing reviews and accusations of sexism poisoned the well early on, and nobody ended up seeing it. Prometheus isn't terrible, but what ultimately made the movie so disappointing is that the teaser trailer made this alien prequel/side story look like the coolest science fiction movie ever and a groundbreaking return to form for director Ridley Scott. The first trailer does an amazing job finding the right balance between getting the audience comfortable with things we know while introducing new elements. The name fades in just like Alien, and we catch glimpses of all the trappings of the original movie. It shows off stunning new visuals while setting a tone of ominous mystery, all within 1 minute. It's a masterclass in visual storytelling. Like we said, we don't hate the movie, but it never hits the same highs as Alien. Somehow the mysteries here feel less profound. Prometheus has the odd misfortune of not really elevating the source material, but also not destroying it. It's basically the after-dinner mint of the Alien franchise. Pleasant at the moment, but utterly forgettable once you're done. Judging by the trailer, however, it could have been much, much more. In a common theme among good trailers for bad movies, this first promo clip made the film look much deeper than it actually was. With slow, haunting music, dreamlike visuals, and an ominous voiceover, this looked like the movie that finally nailed the dark tone DC was aiming for. Jared Leto was delightfully creepy as the Joker, and Margot Robbie's Harley Quinn looked like she'd stepped right off a comic page. Hot off Deadpool, we were all ready for another adult-themed superhero movie. What could go wrong? In a word, post-production, where the film was edited to the point of being incomprehensible. Following the plot of Suicide Squad was nearly impossible, and no amount of Jared Leto scenery chewing could save it. Out of all the Zack Snyder movie trailers on our list, this one hurts the most. The third trailer for Man of Steel might be the best ever made. It's perfect. Starting with slow piano music, the trailer pulls at our heartstrings, fills us with wonder, and is more tear-jerking than a commercial for a movie has any right to be. Anybody who doesn't feel chills when Superman launches into the air needs to check their pulse. The music perfectly builds to the moment, and the immaculate editing drives the trailer to its thrilling climax. Really, it's a mini-movie. Too bad the full film never lived up to it. Still, the trailer exists, and it's worth watching again. In fact, we still like to imagine that Man of Steel never came out, and this is for a better Superman movie still in production. Please, DC, give us something as good as this 3-minute short! Warner Brothers and Legendary Pictures' MonsterVerse franchise has always made better trailers than movies, from that first Godzilla teaser, which revealed the coolest scene in the whole movie, to that incredible rhythmic Kong Skull Island trailer inspired by the trailer to Park Chan-wook's The Handmaiden. 2019's Godzilla King of the Monsters is the series' worst movie so far by critical consensus, and yet its trailer made it look like a potential masterpiece. Monster movies like these naturally make great trailers, since the trailers get to showcase the star attractions, the monsters, without getting bogged down in the often mediocre human side of the stories. The King of the Monsters trailer is extra impressive due to the use of the Claude Debussy composition Clair de Lune. The classical music creatively contrasts with the bombast of the imagery and creates a feeling of emotional transcendence. The movie's actual score is just as bombastic as the action, but the results were more headache-inducing than genuinely exciting. Nicholas Winding Refn films lend themselves to misleading trailers. The trailer for Drive actually became the subject of a false advertising lawsuit from a woman expecting a Fast and Furious-style action movie instead of a slow, atmospheric drama. But that 2011 movie went on to become a favorite of critics and film fans alike. Not so with Only God Forgives, Refn's 2013 follow-up collaboration with actor Ryan Gosling. Where Drive won Refn a Best Director award at Cannes, Only God Forgives was greeted with boos at the same festival 2 years later. From the trailer, Only God Forgives looked like an awesome martial arts movie. The actual film made Drive look like a non-stop thrill ride in comparison, heightening everything that made its predecessor alienating to the mainstream, like the long stretches of silence and the sporadic bursts of extreme violence, without the appealing story and solid emotional core that gave Drive its cult status. Time Out's Dave Calhoun wrote, "Style over substance doesn't really tell the half of it. You can bathe the corpse in groovy light and dress it in an expensive suit, but in the end, that rotting smell just won't go away." When Superman Returns hit theaters in 2006, even those who liked the movie often said that the best part of the experience was seeing the trailer for Spider-Man 3. Sam Raimi's previous Spider-Man films were among the best in the whole superhero genre, and this looked like a culmination of everything the series had achieved. Between the intensity of the black suit scenes, stunning special effects for Sandman, and the promise of big payoffs for Peter Parker's romance with Mary Jane Watson and his Friends to Enemies arc with Harry Osborn, Spider-Man 3 looked like the must-see event of summer 2007. The actual movie couldn't possibly live up to all that hype. Spider-Man 3 turned out to be a mess, packed with too many storylines and villains, unable to give each of them the attention they deserved. Raimi didn't even want Venom to be in the movie, but was pressured by producer Avi Arad, and that lack of interest shows in the finished product. Raimi later described the film as awful on the Nerdist podcast. The hatred for Spider-Man 3 in some circles can be overblown. This deeply flawed movie still has some highlights of action and humor, but the sheer disappointment of it can't be overstated.
Now dig on this.
Ben Stiller's 2013 adaptation of James Thurber's short story The Secret Life of Walter Mitty is the epitome of failed Oscar bait. Coming off directing 2008's Tropic Thunder, a wild satire of awards season that managed to get actual awards nominations for star Robert Downey Jr., Walter Mitty seemed like a move into something more serious and inspirational while still maintaining an element of humor. The film's first trailer, set to the song Dirty Paws by Of Monsters and Men, made it look like Stiller was going to pull it off. Starting off with Walter Mitty's mundane routine of going to work at Life magazine, the trailer soon transforms into a surreal and epic adventure, with the images on the magazine's covers coming to life. It's a beautiful trailer. While the movie itself was just as visually stunning as promised, the storytelling ultimately proved unsatisfying and over-sentimental. Bilga Abiri's review for Vulture proclaimed, "Exquisitely produced, immaculately acted, and thoroughly uninvolving, The Secret Life of Walter Mitty is a perfect nothing of a movie." Mark Mohan of The Oregonian felt similarly, writing, "The movie is beautifully shot, but it's also a blatantly manipulative piece of smarm. This was not the award season behemoth it was set up to be." Writer-director Randy Moore's 2013 indie oddity Escape from Tomorrow, a horror movie shot undercover at the Disney theme parks, is the type of movie that sounds much more entertaining in theory than in execution. It's no surprise that it plays a lot better as a 1-minute trailer than as a 90-minute movie. Instead of the typical MPAA disclaimer, the trailer opens by announcing, "The following motion picture has not been approved for all audiences by the Walt Disney Company." The black and white cinematography of Disney attractions with surreal twists is punctuated by press quotes emphasizing how amazing and unbelievable it is that this film got made. Notably, those quotes aren't actually talking about the quality of the movie. Once the shock and awe of its initial Sundance premiere wore off, critics were decidedly less impressed. New York Times critic A.O. Scott wrote, "None of it is as scary or as funny as it should be, and what starts out as a sly thumb in the eye of corporate power ends up as a muddled and amateurish homage to David Lynch." Long before movie lovers were sick of Disney churning out live-action remakes of all of its animated classics, the idea of a Tim Burton-directed Alice in Wonderland movie sounded potentially wonderful. Burton is at his best when he's able to let loose with strange imagery, and Lewis Carroll's classic children's books would seem like the ideal playground to indulge his creativity without worrying about his relative weaknesses in conventional plotting. So, of course, the 2010 Alice in Wonderland looked awesome in its trailers, which highlighted the expectedly impressive production design and special effects. Despite these visual strengths, however, the actual movie went against the spirit of its source material by turning it into a painfully generic chosen one narrative. Basically, everything that was appealing about the movie was showcased in the marketing, and all that was left for surprises in the theater were such unappealing sights as the Mad Hatter's futterwacken dance. Wonder Woman 1984 was one of the most highly anticipated movies of 2020 and ended up being arguably one of its worst and certainly one of its most disappointing. The trailer did an excellent job selling the movie, combining the girl power action that made Patty Jenkins' 2017 Wonder Woman so refreshing with a new, colorful, and nostalgic 1980s setting and style. How could you not get hyped up by that remix of Blue Monday from New Order? Not having to reveal the film's more questionable plot elements makes everything look better than it was. When the new villain Max Lord talks on TV about getting everything you want, you might think you're in for a commentary on the excesses of 80s capitalism rather than a silly Dreamstone plotline.
Life is good, but it can be better.
When the trailer shows Steve Trevor back from the dead and reuniting with Wonder Woman, you wouldn't even guess that their romance would involve violating a total stranger's consent. But yes, that's actually in the film.